think the hardest part about adulting is realizing that there will always be a lesson to learn.
No! God, please, no! No! No!
Greetings, good day, and welcome back. I know, it's been a while. For those of you who are new here, hi, nice to meet you. For those of you who have been here, thank you for staying. I am Deanna Monroe. On my channel, I talk about all things project management, nonprofit management, grants, development, all that good stuff. But also, in addition to that, I just be showing you guys my life. Yeah, over these last few months, a lot has been unfolding. So much has transformed in my life, and I've stepped into so many new things. I've been really focusing on enhancing my business and just making it better, like laying out a lot of pieces that I should have been doing, but I did not do. But then God was like, Deanna, let's get it together or forget it forever. So I got it together, but that meant I had to neglect YouTube just a little bit. But as I said, we back, okay? We back.
I've been going for a minute, now I'm back with the jump off.
In addition to really like building up my business, I also cultivated a partnership. Your girl is officially a paid content creator, okay? But we're gonna talk about that in another video. In this video, I decided to step back into things and answer a question from you guys. Because like I always say, a lot of my videos are inspired by you, so I should start with what one of y'all wanted to hear about. I think that's only right. Quite some time ago, I was asked, can you do a video on some lessons you have learned in your professional and or personal life thus far? The toughest part about this question was sitting down and narrowing down just some of the lessons that I've learned over the years. Don't worry, I'm not gonna break down on camera, or I'm at least gonna try not to. I'm a huge crybaby. I have accepted it. It is what it is. I am the girl that is crying over animes, Disney movies. Like, I'm gonna shed a tear, and that is perfectly fine with me. With my birthday coming up, this topic feels so appropriate. I've really been sitting down and reflecting on the last year and honestly the last decade of my life, and your girl has grown up. I'm really an adult, like, wow. With all that being said, here are a few things that I know at 31 that I wish I knew at 21. My first lesson, no is a full sentence. N-O, period. You do not need to give any further explanation. Literally none. It don't matter if it's your mother, your brother, your father, your sister, your boyfriend, your girlfriend, husband, wife, co-worker, or even your dog. When you say no, that's it. End of discussion. There's no need for you to say anything else. And the hardest thing that I've had to accept is not allowing anybody else to tell me that my no needs a further breakdown or that I need to say anything more than that. Cause for real, I deadass don't. And you deadass don't either. As a people pleaser, I am also an over-explainer. I get in my head too much and I feel so bad saying no, and it's like, but I need to say no. And I don't want to further explain because whoever I am talking to, you know exactly why I said no, period. At 21, and honestly, throughout most of my 20s, I thought that I had to explain or justify my boundaries for them to be respected or for them to exist. And then as I got older, especially stepping into my 30s, I was like, no, period. Now I can fully say that I say no, period, without feeling that need to provide an extra paragraph, explanation, or apology, or even feeling guilty about it. Like, why am I guilty? Or correction, why am I feeling guilty about setting a boundary to protect myself? No means no. Me protecting my peace and you protecting your peace does not require anybody else's permission or approval, period. And speaking of protecting your peace, Lesson number 2, peace is the greatest, the absolute most fantabulous luxury. It is better than money, cars, jewelry, houses, all the things that money can buy and materials and such. Peace is greater than all of that. All of it, okay?
Okay.
Over these last few years, and really especially over the last few months, there were a number of things and people that I absolutely had to let go of because it was costing me my peace. And I was finally able to sit back and accept that my peace was worth far much more than what anything or anyone else could provide to me. Like, so much more. It's astonishing. I wish I would have known that when I was younger. Oh, how I wish. Now, was making the decision to choose peace and remove these things and people from my life hard? Yes. Yes, without hesitation, it was hard as and there were certain times where I did not think I was gonna make it out on the other side. Now, did I make it out? Yes. I mean, I'm sitting here now, okay? Your girl made it. However, I didn't come out on the other side like unscathed. It was hard. I had battle wounds, but seeing the scars, and I forgot where I saw this, but when you see the present of scars, that means healing is occurring. Like, you know, you get a cut on your hand or something like that, and you're looking at it like, oh my God, it hurts. But then you start to see it scab up and you start to see it, you know, your skin getting back to normal. And though your skin might not be as perfect as it once was before the cutting and the removal of what needed to go, it's healing and it's, you know, providing new and better skin. So was it hard? Yes. But would I change anything about reclaiming my peace? Absolutely not. Even as I'm sitting here right now in this moment, I have to always tell myself that my peace is so important. And that's not a luxury that I could afford to let go of ever again. And though it was hard, the clarity, the calm, the light that came with me protecting my peace is literally unmatched. Like, again, a luxury that cannot be replaced by anything or anyone else. If anything at all is costing you your peace, it's way too expensive. Way too expensive. Even if it looks good on paper. I've grown to know over the years that chaos is not and should not be a personality trait. And a level of peace and the stillness that comes with it should be something that you crave and really feed yourself. So again, if it is costing you your peace, it is too expensive. Let it go right now in this moment. Matter of fact, I will pause right here and let you go handle what you need to handle. Lesson number 3, and I'm definitely still learning this and still practicing this, but taking your time is not a bad thing. Yes, there are certain things that will have deadlines. At times, you know, here and there, you won't be able to put stuff off. And that's okay. I'm not talking about those moments. We're not talking about those times. I'm talking about when you actually are able to slow down and plan out your days, your tasks, or whatever it is that you have to do accordingly. When you can slow down and take your time, you better slow down and take your time. At 21 and really in my early 20s, and honestly throughout most of my 20s, I thought that slow meant behind. That if I'm not fast paced and trying to do things like so quickly and checking things off and that I was behind in life. And I was behind that life. I was behind in life and that I must not know what I'm doing if I'm not moving quickly. You feel me? One thing that I have been able to really pick up on is that taking my time is how I build things that actually last. Whether that's my career, whether that's healing, or just really cultivating a sense of self. Rushing through things and trying to be fast paced in every space and environment that you're in is going to cost you do a lot more than resting ever will. When I am rushing to completion, no matter what the task is, that usually leaves me feeling a little bit regretful. I'm regretful that I didn't really take the time that I needed. I'm regretful of how much more energy that I had to exert because I was rushing and did not just take a step back and breathe. And particularly, I don't know if anybody can relate, but you know when you finish a task and you take a step back and you stop, and when you're finally breathing and not rushing, you see all of what you could have done and all the things that came to mind after you decided to slow down and the thing was done, and you're like, yo, why not think of that before? You didn't think about it before because you was rushing. That's why. So I never want to experience that level of regret because I am trying to rush through things. Lesson 4, and this is something that I need to pick back up expeditiously, but your best case scenario should be your first case scenario. A few months back, I started a practice called best case scenario journaling. No, I am not the creator of it. I've said it too many times, so if you would like to know more about it, check the description. But it really forced me to get up every single day and just look at my day as the best day ever.
It's the best day ever.
And I was able to lay out the good things or the best things that will happen that day. It was never about planning for like the next 5 years, 5 months, 5 weeks, 5 days. It was literally just focusing on that set of 24 hours and just taking the best case scenario one day at a time. As I said, it's something that I need to pick back up on, but I could say when I am looking back at my journal entries and I'm seeing the videos that I recorded and shared for you guys, I had really good days, like really good days. And it wasn't just about good things happening to me or like super extravagant things. It was just really changing my perspective of how I looked at each and every single day. There were certain days that I could look back on and I cried. I wept with all my heart and soul, but I could look at it like it was such a good cry. And I needed that cry. Honestly, it was the best cry. And I could say when I was 21 in my early 20s, I was really bracing for disappointment and preparing myself usually for the absolute worst. So if bad things came, I was already ready, already had my shield up. It couldn't harm me. But when I really started tapping into my faith, I had to realize that faith means that I am welcoming in the good things as well. So yes, will some days be hard? Absolutely. Will we always have the best possible days ever? No, that's not really realistic. There are going to be hard times that we face. However, if I am taking the time to wake up each day and apply the best to my days, I now have a different type of shield where I am not protecting myself by already preparing for disappointment and hurt. I'm protecting myself because I'm going to see the good and the best in it regardless of what happens. And one question I had to really start asking myself, and I'm gonna read it to y'all verbatim how I got it written here, is what if your first instinct was to imagine what could go right instead of rehearsing every way it could fall apart? Again, it's not bad for us to have our armor and a shield up, but what is that shield being sustained by? Is it fear and disappointment, or is it faith in the best that life has to offer for you, regardless of what life throws at you? Okay? And now, speaking of faith, lesson number 5. God can't be the loudest on his own. Now, I've spoken numerous times about my faith, how God has blessed me so much, and through trials and tribulations, I've always came out better and with more blessings in the end. And he has spoken so much truth over my life. However, I've also learned that though he will continue speaking truth to me and on my life, I also have to declare these truths as well. I have to be as loud and bold about my life as he is about my life. Because each and every time he delivers a truth, a blessing, just something good in my life, there's always the enemy that's standing right there waiting to throw a lie in the bunch, waiting to hit me with something that I know is false, and I know it's not true, and I know it is here to counter what God is putting in my life. But if I'm not loud and proud about what God is doing for me, and again, that I'm not declaring like God is declaring, them lies, they start to settle in, and they start to take root in places that they never belonged in. Like, Lucy, you a bird, okay? You a bird. In those moments that I was not boldly and loudly declaring the truth, regardless of my circumstance or situations, that is when I started to see how a lot of these lies were taking over. But with me declaring more, me speaking more truth and life over myself, over my family, my friends, everything and everyone connected to me, there's no room for those lies to take root. And when they start to try to really dig into my life, I'm easily able to discern and be like, that's not the truth. Get up on out of here. Just as much as God speaks and declares goodness over my life, fear, doubt, and distraction are also quite loud as well. I have to continuously make the active choice to make sure that His voice is the loudest one in my head. Really being obedient, really sitting still with God, really praying and getting in my word are continuous reminders to those lies that they cannot take root here anymore. And they gotta go, because they not louder than my God, okay? Okay. To make Him loud, I really had to sit back and silence the rest of the world so that I could only hear God and only hear the truth. Now, to get more into the professional side of things, even though I feel like some of these things can still be applied to you professionally, but lesson number 6, treat a job like a job. So sorry for anybody that might take offense to this, but your job is not your family. The free pizza, the birthday emails, the we're all in this together speeches, that don't change the fact that they did not your family. At 21, I thought that if I gave enough and poured so much into the places that I was working, that they would see me, that they would deem me as worthy. And I thought that being passionate about my work meant that I was available 24/7 and I was on demand. Crazy. But now at 31, about to be 32, I have realized that my worth is not up for negotiation, period. As always, show up as your best self, do the work that you're supposed to do, but do not confuse your job with your purpose. Your identity is not and will never be found in any title that you receive from a workplace. And I'm not gonna lie, at 21, I used to take a lot of things personal at work, whether it was feedback, office politics, even other people's disorganization and the lack of work that they were doing. It ain't got nothing to do with me, and I was taking it personally, like what? But now that, I'm a grown woman, I now am able to see that professionalism does not require personal sacrifice. You can and are allowed to truly care about the work that you do. I most certainly do. I love my line of work, okay? But you can do all of that without carrying your whole team. And you do not, by no means, owe any job or loyalty that it has not earned. I need you to remember that your worth is not in your performance reviews. It's not in all those productivity trackers or how much you go above and beyond. No. I show up, I do my absolute best, but I also make sure to keep my peace intact. It don't matter what the job is. When you clock out, you clock out. Point blank. Period. Don't answer that email after work hours. Don't answer that call after work hours. Tell people you will respond to them the next day, because this time outside of work is your time. Again, treat your job like a job. Now, shifting into lesson number 7, which kind of gives off the same vibes, but your career should work for you, not on you. At 21, I thought that being successful meant that I was always busy, that I was constantly available, that I was just doing the absolute most, always saying yes, always being that employee that's going to be the absolute team player and take on anything that anybody needs. Ha! Ha! I tied a lot of my value to my title, to how, I guess, much recognition and such that I was getting at work, and I let my work define me. And once I was not doing certain work, or once I was removed from certain spaces, I felt lower, even though it had nothing to do with like me personally. I just allowed my work to be so heavily on me, and I did not know how to define myself outside of that space. You feel me? And I thought that being drained in certain spaces was a norm. But I have learned that if your job is draining you more than they are developing you, that is not alignment. That's just called burnout. I might have said this already in lesson 6, but to reiterate, work is a part of your life. Work is not and should not be your life. And work should not get in the way of any other part of your life that don't involve work. There is literally not a single dime. There is no paycheck in this world that will be worth you sacrificing your peace. We've seen numerous times how so many successful people are so depressed and they are so hurt and feel so removed from the world. And it didn't matter how much money they ain't have their peace because they thought a paycheck was worth so much more. And we've seen time and time again that it is not. And now that I'm getting older, and like I said, I've been doing a lot of stuff to really transform my business from the inside out. I am now really building my career and my work around my values, not just based on what's on my resume or my skill set. Now the goal for myself, and I hope you make this your goal too, is to not just be successful, but it's to be well. Yes, I want to make sure that I am wealthy and that I am stable, but I also want to make sure that I am spiritually aligned, that my emotions are feeling good, that personally I am doing well. I want to make sure that I am not just doing well financially, but spiritually, emotionally, personally, mentally, all the leads that you can think of. I want to make sure that I am well in all realms of life, not just my career. Last but certainly not least, lesson 8, everyone is scared. Everyone. Even if they tell you they not scared, they scared. We all scared, all of us. And I dramatize that to really say that fear is not a flaw. It's just a part of being human. The only difference is that if you choose to freeze or if you decide to move with it. Every time I set up a camera and put up my microphone, I'm scared. I'm scared that I'm not going to get no views, that nobody is going to acknowledge me, that I'm going to be here talking to myself. But then time and time again, I am disproven, and I am seeing how people are actually listening and connecting with me, and that I am slowly but surely building the community that I want to see digitally. So, hey community. And even outside of myself and on YouTube and such, I have watched some of the boldest people do amazing things and know that they are scared, frightened, terrified to get these things done, but they did it with fear anyway. Like what's the saying? Even though like you scared but do it anyway? Yeah, do that. Be scared, but still do it. And at 21, I used to think that confidence or being confident about something meant that you were not scared at all. But now at 31, I know that confidence is just fear being challenged. That even though you are looking at something and you're like, oh my God, I'm scared, but you still feel that urge to get it done. That urge, that confidence means that you're gonna do it anyway and still be shaking in your boots. But that's perfectly fine because you got it done. The people that we admire, that we see on these platforms and that they are doing amazing things and stuff, they are just as scared as you. They had to start from somewhere. Nobody just wakes up and is just like, yeah, I am the best ever and nothing is ever going to challenge me or make me feel like I am not. That's not real. And if anybody has said that or heard that and they've said they've never been scared of anything ever, I'm a little doubtful about that. And if that's their truth, I guess I'm envious because I've never experienced that. I be scared, and I'm not scared to say that I be scared. And with that fear loves to lie to you in your own voice, where that little voice in the back of your head, you think that's like discernment or your intuition speaking. Sometimes it is, but a lot of the time, if you just take a step back and really silence yourself, you'll hear like, that's not me speaking. That's not God speaking. That's fear. That's why, like I said earlier, you have to be louder. At 21, I did a lot of waiting to feel ready. Even now, I've done a lot of waiting to feel ready. But at 31, I can say with my whole chest that though I be scared, I still get it done anyway. And even when I tell people that like, ooh, I was shaky or unsure, they like, Deanna, what? Really? You sure you was unsure? And I'm like, yes, I'm sure I was unsure. Like, why would I say I was unsure if I wasn't unsure? So, like, you'd be surprised about how many people are looking at you and you are radiating confidence and you're like, you sure you talking about me? Because I know I've said that. I know that has been said to me time and time again. How I present myself, I am so sure and I am so confident in that I know who I am. And I'm like, that's so crazy because the little voice in the back of my head be telling me the opposite. So again, let me be a little bit louder. And I've realized too that fear is not always a stop sign. It's just a signal. Like when you are doing something new, it's natural to be fearful of it, but that fear doesn't mean that you should stop. That just means you haven't been here before and this is a new leap for you to take, but that doesn't mean you shouldn't take it. And for me, the fear has not disappeared. She's still here, loud, in the back of my head, yelling at me right now. I just decided to not let it have control. Oop, would you look at that? You made it to the end of this video, so thanks for watching.
Sometimes goodbyes are a bitch.
T-shirt idea. Goodbye stink.
And if I could, I'm trying to not make myself cry. If I could go back in time and really talk to my 21-year-old self, I wouldn't give her warnings about what is to come. I would give her permission. Permission to say no and leave it at that. Permission to take her time and know that it's okay. Giving her permission to take up space without shrinking to be understood. Because if I have to shrink myself, that means I don't fit here. Y'all can't hold me. Oops. And at 31, about to be 32, I don't need to have all the things figured out. It's okay that I'm still doing a lot of trial and error. It's okay that you are still doing a lot of trial and error. I just have to make sure that I am choosing me each and every time over and over and over again. And for me, that is true growth and that is true freedom. Okay? I've really taken the time to stop living to prove myself, and I just started living to feel aligned and where I'm supposed to be. If I keep putting myself first and keep listening, I will be exactly where I'm supposed to be. And though I'm still learning, I'm now learning with grace. I am learning with newfound boundaries and with a level of peace that I didn't know I could even ask for or that I could even cultivate. It's amazing, to say the least. These are the lessons that I learned the hard way, and maybe you don't have to. And if you're still figuring things out, don't worry. That's a good thing. That just means that you are growing. As I said earlier, a lot of my videos are inspired by you guys. So if anybody has any questions, any topics that you would like me to dive deeper into, make sure to leave all of that in the comments below. If you haven't done so already, please make sure to like, share, and subscribe. And until next time, bye y'all.